I'm gonna start out this video of my collection with this clock here. This is a Hamburg American Johanns dual chime wall clock with Westminster and Trinity. This clock doesn't actually belong to me, it belongs to my dad, but I like to call it mine because I have the other Trinity right there, and that's up next, but I'll go ahead and let you hear both chimes because I just love this clock so much. Next up is probably one of my biggest prized possessions. This one's a Hamburg American, probably 1920s Westminster and Trinity chimes mantle clock. If I open up the bezel here, you can see the chime selections and the chime silent, and this chime on this one is absolutely gorgeous. Up next is a 1934 Johannes. You can see the emblem right there. Dual chiming clock with Westminster and Whittington. This clock is actually really hard to find, and the dial isn't on it because the dial, when I got this clock, was in super rough condition, so I'm going to have to get it redone. But you can see where the outline would be. And this clock was cased in Canada. There's a sticker on the back. So I'll let you hear Westminster, and then I'll turn it around so you can hear Whittington. Next up is this round top 1921 Mahogany Johanns Westminster chimes with a chord striking feature. So I'll let you hear that one now. Up next is the first of my two Hamburg American box regulator clocks with the quarter striking bim bam bomb pattern. So this one is with a more decorative case, and I'll let you hear it. And this one also has side doors, which is a nice addition.
Wait until you let me in the room and that'll be fine.
And then next, of course, is the other of my Bim Bam Bomb box regulators. This one's right next to this one. so I'll do an overview, but this one sounds better and has a nicer looking case, just a little bit less decorative. Next up is a MF, which stands for Manufacture France box regulator with the Saint Etienne chimes. So I'll let you hear that now. Next up is a Johannes 1913 box regulator with Westminster chimes and a super uncommon Art Deco pattern, so here it is. Coming up after that is I'm not sure the date, but I'll tell you it when I turn the clock around, but a Johannes timbre clock, Napoleon hat clock with coiled gong striking and Westminster chimes on rods. So this clock is from 1920. And after that is an oak 1920s Gustav Becker bim bam with probably the prettiest bim bam I've heard in a long time. After that is this 1909-1910 Johannes bracket clock. This one plays Westminster. Oh, here it goes. So, really nice original and just a really nice piece of my collection. After that is this Gufa triple chime mantle clock with Westminster, Whittington, and St. Michael's. This clock hasn't been running a little bit, so please excuse any flat notes that it has. And yes, it does strike a 4-rod, what's it called? A 4-rod chord. That was something that I added in years later. Now, up next is this Charles Jock grandfather clock that plays Westminster chimes, and let me just tell you, this thing has some of the loudest, strongest Westminster chimes that I've ever heard, but also some of the most beautiful. Up next is this 1906 red mahogany quarter striking bracket clock. Quarter striking bim bam bracket clock, I should say. Still some repairs I have to do to it, like I have to square this off and then put a piece of wood on there, but I did make this foot. I still gotta make it shiny to match this one, but matches pretty good. But overall, a nice clock. Up next is another Johannes box regulator. This one, my uncle made the top two, but this one's a bim bam and it's got one of the nicest bim bams I've heard. Not quite as nice as the Gustav Becker, I don't think. Maybe just as nice, but I'll let you guys decide. This one's kind of hard to tell, but it's a Hamburg American movement and pendulum with a custom-made case by my great-grandpa. I put in the gong on this clock, the gong and hammer. You can kind of see it in the back there. I'll see if I can get it to go.